Alright guys, I'm sorry I got a little ahead of myself. What I've done so far is I've glued a lambskin with styrofoam core to the back of the sheath. I've punched these holes and repunched these two holes, got the pattern traced out, and started cutting out some of the pattern that needs to be cut out. I apologize for getting a little ahead of myself. And I apologize for the TV. I'll pause that here in a second. I'm watching Charmed again. Can I say I love the classics? And as promised, better light source. Not only can I see what the heck I'm doing, but it provides better light for the camera to see what, for you guys to see what I'm doing. This is some pretty spongy leather. I'm not used to working this type of leather, so this will be new for me. Hopefully it takes to tooling. Otherwise I'm going to be very put out. You know what? Let's give this tooling a sample, see if it'll actually take. Let's go with my 701 mallet sponge. It seems to be taking fairly well. Find out when it dries. That seems to be working alright, so I think we're pretty safe here. So I'll continue cutting it out. Set that off to the side so I'll remember which one I'm using. Whew, stiff knee. As you can see, I've got about that much of it done in the center here. I've still got to do this stuff around on the edges and all this stuff down here, but it's coming along nicely. I also made sure to put in my maker's mark, or as we call it in the blacksmithing world, touch mark. Excuse me. I'll catch you guys on the flip. I am done for tonight. I am exhausted. Alright, when we left off yesterday, I was in the middle of inlaying some of the other centerpieces that are gapped. What I neglected to tell you was I am using an Alpha 104 and an Alpha 98. All they are, if you can see those, are basically little checker mark teardrops, and they're designed to go into tight areas and work your edges down so you can go back behind them and smooth them out with your spoon, which I left up on my workbench. I'll get later. Or you can just leave them as they are, nice little check mark, but I prefer the smooth look. So I'm going to pick up where I left off yesterday and start on some of these smaller areas and work them down into nice, neat little flat areas. And we need more light on the subject, so I will pause this and go from there. Alright, we have more light on the subject. I can see what I'm doing, and you guys can see as well. Like I said, I'm going to go back over this with the spoon so that it'll be nice and smooth and clean. I also have a copy of the original pattern over here that I'm going to look at from time to time, and it shows me what needs to be what and what needs to be where. This little symbol here I didn't use. I actually used the person's initials that I am reworking this for. And we will paint those a different color later. Once I get this outline with a smaller one, I'll go back over it with the 104, and I can cut this down and cut the time in half. If you're wondering why my videos are so much smoother after the last one, I went out and bought myself a tripod. No more shaking and bouncing. No disrespect to Wayne, he made an excellent cameraman. And I am greatly appreciative of everything he did for us. Whoops. Oh well. Still looks good. If you're wondering why I said whoops, I went up here when I was supposed to bring it around and down here. That's all good. I can still bring it down and fill it in nicely. Yep. Leather's starting to dry out. Man, that happens so quickly. I hate it. Oh, excuse me. Let's see here. Okay, all the texturing and the small spots is done that I can get done. So now we're going to go in with a P217 and get some of our, as you can see, little indentations on these leaves and decoration curls, and make them look nice and sloped and what's the word I'm looking for? Textured. That's the word I'm looking for. Textured. I also have a smaller version of this here somewhere. I just gotta find it. Oh, maybe not. But I do have a smooth version of that, which is a P972. I have a couple of longer ones I might be able to use as well. A P367 and a P361. Might need both of those, so we'll pull them out and set them off to the side. I know eventually we're going to need the big cedar, which is a S708. I know I'm also going to need... What are you? I believe you're this one. A Vayner. We're going to go with a V821. I'm also going to need a camouflager and this thing. Where's my camouflager now? Where's my camouflager? There it is. Small camouflager, or small Vayner. Camouflager Vayner. Okay, that is a Vayner. What I'm looking at are these right here. Right there. And right there. It's calling for a V417, but we don't have that at this current time. So I'm going to substitute with that with a 745. So I'm going to start off with the Z. Get the rest of them off the side. I'll bring you in here so you can see what I'm doing. These you have to hit kind of hard in order to get them to set just right. I've got all the main work done. I'm going back over everything with the decorative cuts now that need to be done. Once I'm done with that, I will go over the rest of the lines with the beveler. And then all that's left is to let it dry and then stain it and seal it.
What time is it now? Almost 3.
No, we didn't. We didn't miss it because you don't know it? I know something about history that you don't know.
I'm very excited to learn about it, Riley.
Hold on one second. I'm just taking this moment. This is cool. Doesn't you feel all the time? Because, you know, except for now, of course.
Riley!
All right. What I know is that daylight savings wasn't established until World War I. If it's 3 p.m. now, okay, that means in 1776, it would be 2 p.m.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you actually know who the first person to suggest daylight savings was?
Benjamin Franklin. Is this real?
Just tell me what you told my friend.
Just a bunch of letters. I can't remember.
Do you remember which ones you were going to tell me now?
Yeah, here. STOW.
Top results, Liberty Bell, and Independence Hall.
It could have been seen from miles around. Exactly as well. Because it served as a beacon for people.
On George Washington's birthday, the final expansion of the crack occurred, retiring the Liberty Bell permanently. Eventually, its place in Independence Hall.
So some of these lines are a little small. I'm going to go back over with my B011 and my 701.
Centennial Bell. Replaced Liberty Bell in 1876. You go down there and meet me in the signing room. Okay? All right.
All right, let's go.
Okay, all the tooling is done. All that's left is to punch the holes around the outside so the liner gets stitched as well when we go to sew it up. Before we sew up the sides though, we have to sew up across here and across the top so those don't get stitched together and we're not able to put the holster in there, or the pistol in there. Alright, and I will catch you guys up when I'm done with that, because that gets a bit monotonous as well. Alright, all the holes are punched and it has been stained. All that's left for tonight is to let it sit and dry. And then tomorrow I'll go back over with some sealer called Super Sheen and seal everything up, and then I'll go over that multiple times throughout the day and make it like really pop. And then I'll start stitching up the outer edges, like top and bottom here. Once that's done, I'll fold it over and finish stitching it the rest of the way. Until then, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for stopping in, and have a good night. Alright, here you can see that the leather dye has dried really well and the details have started to pop. And inside this pill bottle I have Super Sheen. As you can see, it kind of looks like milk. All you do is just liberally coat it on, and you just continue to do so as it dries, and it will seal the leather. And the more you put on, the shinier it will become. I will continue to do this throughout the day, over and over again, until it develops like a really shiny coat. And as you can see, it's really thin.
What's your name? Her name is Nikki. Nikki. Such a pretty name for such a pretty girl. How old are you, Nikki? Nikki? Just your question. I'm 4. 4 years old, eh? You know, I had a little girl once.
Alright guys, I got it finished, or I finished sewing it together after it dried, but there's some spots, if you look very carefully, like right in here, where the stain didn't soak in quite all the way. But before I do that, I am going to put some leather lacing on here that needs to be on here. This one's going to go down here for the leg tie. Pliers, where'd my pliers go? There they are. And I gotta put one up here for the safety pull on the thumb, or on the hammer. Ooh. I might have to cut this lace in half. 'Cause it don't want to go anywhere. So what I'll do is I'll go grab my lacer and we'll cut it in half. So all the lacer is basically a plastic handle here with a couple of springs on the top and bottom. Just move the springs out of the way. And all the springs do is hold in this nice little razor blade. Alright, we'll adjust the depth on that. Now we put the springs back on. And we ever so gently coax it over the razor blade. Just pull it straight through. Voila! One thinner piece of lace. Alright, here's the pistol. It's just a CO2 pistol, not an actual 45. What we do is put it in the holster, put the thumb catch over, pull it tight. It's not coming off there unless you pull up on the lace a little bit and thumb it over. So far, so good. Oh, let's take the pistol back out. There.
I need to ask you some questions.
And
Students are the leaders of tomorrow.
Are you the new kids? Good luck.
Touch this up.
Need it.
This is paradise, man. Hi, my name's Samuel. What the waiter say? Look at him. He looks like a governor. Little bro. They treat you good in Preppy Land? Yeah, they better. I'm gonna have to kick their asses. These people are good for nothing, Polo.
What can you tell me about this trophy?
Why?
We think it's the weapon used in the murder.
Are we really who everyone thinks we are? What do we hide from everyone else? Maybe things aren't as they seem. I have nothing to confess.
I'm a really bad girlfriend.
You'll never end up with her, you hear me? Mix gunpowder with fire.
There's only one outcome. It explodes. Who was it?
Listen, Kay. Do you have any more questions?
Thinking about getting a spray gun to do this. Like a airbrush. Might save me some time and make things a little bit easier. What I'm doing now is really tedious and painstaking. Just touching up little areas that I missed or need to be filled in. And once all this dries again, I'll go back over it with the Super Sheen. Make it look pretty. I think I'm going to go with a little bit bigger brush on this one. Oh, just in case you're wondering, I also used the saddle stitch to stitch this together everywhere. And it is the most commonly used stitch. And pretty stitches aren't really called for all that much. I do know a few, but not all that many. If you're trying to do your own leather work and you're kind of wondering what kind of leather dyes to use, I recommend EcoFlow water base, as any other tends to dry out before you have a chance, or like oil base are okay. I mean, they take longer to soak in and dry. But if you use alcohol base, they dry out before you have a chance to correct any mistakes. And you have to work quickly with it. That's why I recommend using water base. Like one of my colleagues mentioned, what I say is not word of God. It's just a recommendation on how I do things, you know? Just like you, I'm still learning. I'm no expert. If anybody has any requests for projects, leave me a comment. I'll see what I can do to make it happen, alright? Alright, I'm going to let this dry, and I will get back to you when everything's all said and done and show you the finished product. Alright, as you can see here, it is the finished product. I even made sure to paint in the gentleman's initials and the thumb lock. You can toggle it with your thumb really easily. And even tighten it up just a little bit. Leg lace. I'd say it turned out rather nice. He's fairly happy with it, and that's all that makes me. That's what makes me happiest, is having my client happy. So thank you guys.